From the Black Swan Media Studios, deep inside a secret underground bunker, we're speaking to freedom-loving patriots from all around the country and the world. Welcome to the Resistance. This is John Crump, live.
Welcome. How are you guys doing? Today we're sponsored by Black Swan Prints. Who is Black Swan Prints? That is actually me. That's my Etsy shop where I sell really awesome prints like the ones right behind me. And as always, you can get a discount on all the Etsy prints that I have. I always give you guys a discount. You guys know that, but right now I just can't remember what the thing is. But the next 3 people who buy one will get one of these awesome John Crump investigative journalist patches that the design is by Toxic Patch Co. So go ahead and check those guys out. And the discounted thing is podcast, and you will get 30% off, and it's good through the 18th of this month, and you get a free patch if you're one of the first 3 people to buy it. Actually, let me do this. Anyone that buys anything during the podcast will either get this patch or another patch, depending on whatever. All right, guys, let me go ahead and I'll bring on my co-host of the day, the flying one, the guy that crashes planes into houses, cars, and babies, Flying Rich.
The baby was in the car. I mean, that's not reasonable, John.
I think it's very reasonable. How you doing, Rich?
Good. Hey, for the second time this week, we're doing a show. How about that?
Yeah, it's summertime. I travel a lot. Next week, we're only missing one day. The 18th, it's my son's birthday, so we're going to go out to eat.
Okay. So we're doing shows next week.
Next week, we're doing shows. 18th, no show.
Not the 18th.
The week after that, I will be out of the country. So.
Okay.
No shows.
Am I still able to smuggle myself into your luggage or no?
You can try. I'll just say you're a turtle. For a turtle.
Oh, thanks. Remind me to kick your
my pet turtle. It's my. You know what? I can put a collar on you and a little like vest and say that you're my.
All right, John. Let's introduce the guest. All right, thanks.
All right, we have Christopher Wright on. Sorry about that, Christopher.
He's going, what did I get myself into?
Sometimes you go off the rails. But
we all been in those buffering situations, so I know how it goes. I'm like, see if we can make it through the whirlwind, you know?
All right, so first question, Christopher. Who are you and what do you do?
Okay, well, some people, a very small number of people might know me as everybody's favorite conservative in New York, Christopher Wright. What I do is, I guess you can call me a political activist, just somebody who's really involved in grassroots when it comes to conservatism here in New York City. I got my start, I guess, 5 years ago. I did a walkaway video for a good friend of mine, Dr. Brandon Strzok. And at the time, I didn't know, but I was the first minority to do a walkaway video. And it happened to go viral. And once it went viral, you know, I saw people reaching out to me and, you know, out of nowhere, because as a Black Trump supporter at the time, before that, I had like nobody talking to me.
New York Black Trump supporter.
Yeah. So
no,
yeah.
You live in Manhattan? Where do you live?
Right now, I'm in Queens, but at the time, I was in Brooklyn at the time. So I was walking, I would do walk and talk videos, you call them, walk and do Brooklyn, talking about politics. And, you know, a lot of people were reaching out to me in the comment section of my videos saying, hey, I'm in New York, man. I thought I was the only conservative in New York. And, you know, hey, can't believe this, you know. So I kept on getting these comments. So I said to myself, you know what? Let me see if I can get people together in some kind of way. So I'll reach out to people, say, hey, give me your email. I'll shoot you an email. And I just started doing like little meetups around the city. And I started out at local bars and just hanging out. We just talk politics, as fellow conservatives in New York. And
Cool.
we had conversations, and it grew from there. And to the point now where we're at the Metropolitan Republican Club. We try to do at least an event once a month where we get a lot of people together and we just talk about grassroots and how people can get involved in politics on a local level.
The Republican club's in Manhattan, right?
Yes, it is. The Metropolitan Republican Club in Manhattan.
Okay, let's talk about what a walkaway video is, because I don't think that everyone is familiar with that, and I just want to make sure everyone's on the same page here.
Okay, yeah, a walkaway video is a good question. Let me straighten my head out here. I'm sorry, I got my phone. I was using my laptop. It was acting real slow, so I had to use my cell phone. But a walkaway video is pretty much a testimonial for anybody out there who said, for example, who's a former Democrat, independent, or just, well, not even independent. Let me just be honest with you. It's former Democrat to be exact, because the importance of the whole walkaway situation is, you were a former Democrat at one time, and something happened within the party that kind of upsets you or makes you step back for a minute and just say, you know what, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And you ended up leaving the party and going either to the independent or Republican or just, any party, or just even not voting. I wouldn't like that, of course, once you get involved, but just leaving the party and then you telling your story of why you left the Democratic Party. And that's what I ended up doing. I was campaigning for Obama when I was younger in 08, in my early 20s. And I ended up voting for him again the second time in 2012. And the first time I actually officially voted Republican was in 2016 for Donald Trump. So,
oh, wow.
That was my first time in my life voting Republican. So, of course, when I came out and said I'm voting for Trump, I got a lot of backlash and everything like that. So I really get no feedback at all on social media. No likes, no comments, no nothing. Everybody's like, Chris, we just cut you off. I grew up in Maryland, very blue state. So when I saw Brendan Strzok who was a gay hairstylist in Manhattan at the time, and I think he might have outdid me on the, who can out culture whatever, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he did a walkaway testimonial why he left the Democratic Party, because at first he was even a Trump supporter. He didn't like Trump first, and then a gay friend of his told him, hey, give Trump a chance. Once you look into him, and because he was a Bernie Sanders supporter, and after Bernie got screwed over, he was kind of upset. So when he looked into it and looked into Trump and decided he's going to support this individual, and I did something similar. Once he ran, I was looking at him because I was getting fed up with the Democratic Party, and I saw Trump's policies and I liked what he was running on. So I decided to do the same thing. But when he came out, because he was getting so frustrated, because when he came out and said he's supporting Trump, he got a lot of backlash from the people in the city and the area and things like that. So he just said, I'm tired, and go on the internet and just tell, vent in a way. Like he just did like a video where he just said, hey, this is what happened to me. I'm frustrated. I'm upset. And at the very end, he said, if you have a testimonial, can you please share it with me, and I'll share it on my platform. And so I was like, okay. I was literally on the bus home from work that day, and I was watching these videos, and I was sitting in the bus. I said, you know what? Let me just do a video right now. So I literally got off the bus, and all in the way, when I got off the bus, I said you see my very first video I ever did. It was literally me getting off the bus from work, and I said, what better way to do a walk-away testimonial than when you're walking away? Because I was literally walking. So I just did my testimonial right there in Brooklyn, just walking home. And I just told him, what happened with my situation with, I was a Democrat, I had, I saw Obama, supported him twice. I started seeing the negative of Obama his third year and second term. I really was like, man, this guy's something else. He's very busy trying to destroy this country. So I said, let me look at the Republicans. I even looked at Republicans in his second term. I was looking at Ron Paul and Herman Cain. And I saw the media step in and kind of ruin those guys' chances. They did the whole Me Too before Me Too with Herman Cain, and with Ron Paul, they just stopped saying the man's name. I saw he won I think the Iowa primary, and he was ahead at first, and then they stopped saying his name. He fell off. And then the third time I saw them mess things up was Dr. Ben Carson, because I read his book Gifted Hands when I was a kid. My dad knew Dr. Ben Carson, met him a couple times.
Yeah, I've met Ben Carson. He is a phenomenal person, just an absolutely phenomenal person.
Yes. Anybody out there listening, if you're not familiar with Dr. Ben Carson, please go out and do much research on the man you can. First,
brain surgeon.
Yep. Separate Siamese twins from the brain. The first one to ever do it. A real intelligent man, had a book Gifted Hands, where he came from a rough neighborhood, struggling, and was able to come from
Single mother, grew up in the hood.
Yep, in the hood, man. And like a lot of people don't want to talk about it. I mean, when he was running, unfortunately, I saw how a lot of black people weren't familiar with him, but they just attacked him because they saw a well-spoken black man who was a Republican. They, oh, you're cool, Uncle Tom, and the whole stereotype came out. And I'm gay. Look, I get the same names called to me now that I'm walking around New York with a MAGA hat on, and I'll have white people say all kinds of crazy stuff to me on the left, and coon, Uncle Tom, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right, thank you. I'm just glad to know you're a racist now. And they're like, oh, I'm not a racist. I'm a Democrat. And I'm like, okay, all right, Democrat. You're a white man telling a black man he's not acting black enough. How's that sound? And they're like, oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's so I seen what he had to go through, and he was at one time when he was running against Trump. People forget he was actually in the lead for a period of time.
Mm-hmm. He won a primary.
He won the primary. Yeah, he was doing really good. And what messed him up, what didn't mess him up was the media was what messed him up. And what happened, I saw the whole process. I read his book, Gifted Hands, where he mentioned when he was graduating high school, he was making good grades, as he gotten older, and he was ready to get accepted to all these great colleges. And West Point came to offer him opportunity. And he talked to an administrator, and he said, kind of a thanks but no thanks kind of thing. Because with military college, for those who aren't familiar, when you graduate from college, if you go to military college, once you graduate, you got to serve at least 2 years in the military. And he didn't want to do that. He wanted to go straight to his field out of the military. So he said, kindly, thank you, but no thank you. So what the media did was they called him a liar. Said, oh, there's no evidence of paperwork of you getting accepted to West Point. And he's like,
my gosh.
Yeah. So they really ran with that. And so this man was lying about, college, and they tried to make him look like he was dumb. Like he was, he was an idiot out of high school. And, you try to really flip it like that. It was really messed up. And first and only time I seen him get upset after that, he came out and did a press conference, and he was almost like yelling, saying like, I didn't say I was accepted to West Point. I said I spoke with an administrator. It's in my book. Anybody who's familiar, I just twisted my words around. Yeah, so they did, and I saw how the press did it, and then he slowly started to drop off from the polls after that. And I was just like, man, that was the third candidate I was going to vote for, where I saw the press kind of step in and mess things up. And I said to myself, we don't have the people pick our president; it's the media that picks our president. So I kind of saw
big time.
And then and after that, I was ready to give up, and I saw Trump. And I never had an issue with Trump. I just wasn't taking him seriously at first. I thought he was just trying to build his brand up. He wasn't really running, really taking it, really that serious.
Yes,
a lot
that
of
was
people
my
thought
thought.
that. Yeah.
So how long you live in Manhattan? How long have you been a New York resident? I said Manhattan, but
New York resident,
New York area.
Yeah, I'm going on 10 years now. So it's been about 10 years.
Okay.
So I've seen a transition with New York, the pre-COVID.
All right. So I grew up out on Long Island, 50 miles out of Manhattan.
My wife grew up near Rich. So we both have ties to the NYC area.
We're losing them. Uh-oh.
We lose them?
I don't have audio on my end.
You don't have audio, Chris. No audio.
Yeah, we don't hear you.
You might have to back out and come back in. If you have to, that's fine. You might have to actually leave and come back in with the link.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
So I'm trying to think how long I've been out of Manhattan. I mean, I've driven through a couple of times. Let's see. We got them.
I think
live or Memorex.
Yeah, we are also on the Firearms Radio Network, so you can hear us on your favorite podcast provider by going to firearmsradio.net. We have some Firearms Radio patches that we're going to be giving away. I don't have them in yet, but we will be doing that. Also, I have a video dropping at 6 p.m. It's not even on the schedule yet. I'm building my Amazon wish list. Not my wish list, but my Prime Day thing.
Coming back?
Yeah. And let's go ahead and add them. Hey, Chris, go ahead. You had them.
Oh, did I? Hold on.
There you are.
Go where you left off when the last question? Or?
Yep.
So
that works.
Yeah, you said you were in New York area for like 10 years. And and so when Obama got elected, I was working in Manhattan on 51st and Lex.
I worked
and
on
I'm like,
Manhattan too, down by the World, by right next to where the World Trade Center was. So now it's Freedom Tower. When I was working there, they were building the Freedom Tower, so it wasn't built yet.
and I was like, hey, I was happy. Like
Hold on, I think
Obama
you
wasn't
lost
my
audio.
pick,
Chris, are you
but
there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm here, guys.
All right, now you
Okay.
good. All right, go
I
ahead.
got
Sorry about that. So we're good to go here. Sorry about that.
No
yeah.
problem.
Obama wasn't my pick, but I was like, hey, this is great because, little black kids, like as a white kid, I could say I could be president. All the presidents were white. Not that that was a thing in my mind, but now a black kid can look up and say, I could be president just like him. They have somebody to look up to that, not a basketball player, not a rap star, not like I work hard, I do good in school. This is where I can be. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the end of racism in America. Boy, was I wrong.
Yeah, well,
He-
just started.
He really flipped that one upside down, didn't he?
Woo. Woo. I'm like, I was so the pictures came out. What was it? Oh yeah, the Supreme Court decision. Michelle Obama's on somebody's yacht saying how there's no equality for black people. I'm like, yeah, there isn't. It's not her yacht. That's why. It was some white guy's yacht.
Give me a break. And well, she, but it's a victimhood mentality. I mean, it's, and I tell people, only thing worse than a Democrat's a black Democrat, and I'll say that firsthand. And I say that because they know a lot of them grew up in the inner city areas who are politicians or who are being successful in politics. A lot of them grew up, or celebrities or athletes. I can go on and on and on. A lot of them might have grew up in a rough neighborhood, and they saw the benefits of capitalism. They were able to benefit from capitalism, become successful in America. Now they're making millions and millions of dollars. They're well known around the world. All this good stuff's happening, but they're telling other black people in America who are in that situation that they might have been in, oh no, you can't do nothing if you're black. The white man's going to hold you down. Oh, so what are you really doing when you're doing that? You are benefiting who? Yourself. You know the benefits of capitalism. It's crabs in a barrel, in my opinion, as well. And that's unfortunately what a lot of black people do in our community. So when I was a Democrat and when I was younger and naive, and I was just, hey, do what I thought as a black man, we got to be Democrats. White people, I think when I thought Republican, it's just ingrained in my head so much. When I used to think Republican, I thought a fat white guy on Wall Street smoking a cigar, not, that's all I pictured Republican. Like, okay, that's what it is, And so it took the history. Dinesh D'Souza was a big person that really educated me on the past and history of politics, and you really see the bigger picture.
Great movies.
Yes, they really were. And you know the history of the Republican Party. You wouldn't know who was up to the Republican Party. Blacks in this country would have had civil rights dating back to 1860, not 1960. So and
yes.
you really research and you learn a lot. And you're like, wow, why do Republicans get such a bad rap? And why did I get that ingrained as a child, as a youth, that I had to be a Democrat almost? And then you look at the society we're living in. You look at the liberal ran school system. You look at the liberals run the media, Hollywood, music, and music industry. Anywhere you look, they have their word and their narrative they're pushing, and it kind of is ingrained in the black and all minority communities, in my opinion, not just black.
So I always love the story that, the Democrats, the Republicans flipped, like, football at halftime. And I'm like, oh, you mean Al Gore's dad who filibustered the 1964 Civil Rights Amendment. So Al Gore's dad became a Republican. Help me out here.
Along with Robert Byrd, the former KKK member, how does that make any sense? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that's what
Joe Biden did his eulogy.
Yeah. And then if you look at it, I remember there's a book I read. It was called from Dinesh D'Souza. It was called "The Big Switch Is a Big Lie," and he really goes in detail about that. And he breaks it down. He said there was a total that era they're talking about where the big switch occurred. I think there was 3 politicians that were switching, and that switched. It was like 2 Republicans. No, two Democrats switched to Republican, and 1 Republican switched to a Democrat. And that was this big switch, And it's like, if you look at politics, like every 4 to 8 years, that happens in politics, like automatically, you see right now all these Democrats who are leaving the party to become Republicans. We have technically a big switch happening right now as we speak, if that's the case, because there's been about 3 to 5 Democrats that switched to be Republicans in the last 7-8 years. Recently, a black woman in Atlanta, if I'm bad with names, but she's a congresswoman down there who just switched to be a Republican.
Yeah,
so.
that just happened like really recently, like in the last week or so, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, in the past week or so, and it's been, if you've been people that pay attention, it's been happening. So technically, you can say this is a big switch. Now, are we gonna look 100 years from now? Are you gonna look back in the year 2023 era and say, "Oh, there's"?
Well, I think it's a switch going one direction.
Hope so.
Chris just froze up again, but 556 media. Chris, we don't have sound again, man. Sorry, you're gonna have to back out and go back in.
No audio, man.
There must be something going on with his phone.
Uh-oh, he's on a roll.
Yeah. But he talks about Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell have written some freaking awesome books.
A lot of smart people out there.
Yeah, Thomas Sowell. If you haven't looked up Thomas Sowell, read some of his books. Look at his interviews. Very, very smart guy. Yeah. But talking about what Griff was talking about, I met Dr. Ben Carson at a rally that my wife and I went to.
Oh, cool.
And he was insanely smart. Dr. Ben Carson is the guy I actually supported besides Rand Paul.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I don't know where he lives now, but he used to live, I think, in Palm Beach Gardens. So
I have no idea where
he was in my neighborhood prior to being a cabinet member with Trump. And we're adding him to the stream.
Yeah, they try to make Ben Carson. They were like, "Oh, he's an idiot." He's like, we don't have any sound, man.
No sound.
No, I have no idea what's going on. We're not getting any sound in the StreamYard, so your phone is not sending sound for some reason.
Does he have Bluetooth connected somewhere?
Yeah, I don't know. Can you hear us?
All right, so he can hear us. Yeah, we can't hear him.
We can't hear you. Something's going on with your mic, your phone.
Or look at the StreamYard settings for audio. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Ben Carson, they try to make him, they try to portray him as an idiot, and he's like a world famous brain surgeon.
How do you make that stick? How do you get that narrative? Like, if I'm not a brain surgeon, but like if the media started saying I'm an idiot, yeah, they probably could prove it. But Ben Carson, neurosurgeon, world famous neurosurgeon. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's one of the things where it's just where they try to portray people as whatever.
So I liked Herman Cain. I loved when he was saying, it's like, I know how to beat Obama, beat him with a cane.
All right, there you go.
Well, welcome back, Chris.
All right.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I tried to use last time I was just on. That was my laptop I was on, so I just tried to use my laptop and it didn't even do the sound at all when I used my laptop. So
okay.
So I'm back to my cell phone again.
Interesting. No idea.
Oh, hey, so Chris, you trained with Stephen Williford?
Oh yeah. I mean,
cool.
Just started. I mean, I just talked to him. This last week. I've been talking with him. So.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, they opened up a name the school contest where people could submit names of schools, and 4chan got involved. So, do you guys want to hear what the names are?
Of course.
Oh no, Bodie McBoatface?
No. Drew Brees Elementary. Bruce Lee, that's number 1. Number 2 is Bruce Lee Elementary.
Okay.
Number 3 is John Cena Elementary School. Number 4 is Adolf Hitler School for Friendship and Tolerance. And number 5 is Schoolie McSchoolface.
Schoolie
Wow. 4chan, boy. Wow. Some things never change, it sounds like, with them, I guess.
Yeah, don't open it up where people can actually suggest names.
Yes, that's bad. Like the E-Cannon.
I mean, wow. I mean, they weren't so bad for one, except the one opposite that was stood out beyond the other ones. But the other ones, I mean, Bruce Lee Elementary wasn't too bad. I like that one.
That'd be cool. Everybody want to go there.
Yeah, I know that would drew me in.
Does anybody know who Bruce Lee is? You know,
They would be the fighting dragons.
Ah. when you go inside the school in the morning, be Enter the Dragon, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
Nice. I like it.
The school sport would be the game of death.
Oh, I like that.
You got it all worked out.
Yeah.
So, Chris, what your day job? Not trying to dox you. What kind of work do you do?
Okay, well, to be honest with you, it's been interesting. Post COVID, pre-COVID, I used to do construction sales for a installation company. So I would reach out to different project managers and stuff like that. I did that for 5 years, and things were beautiful under Trump. And then when Biden got in office and the mandates happened, and people who weren't vaccinated, were just screwed over like myself. I've been working just working campaigns. That's what I've been doing for the past.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, I've been going all over, mostly in New York. I've been upstate New York and areas, working on different campaigns. I went down to Georgia for a period of time to work on Herschel Walker's runoff campaign. So, just focusing on that at the moment. That's all I really have to offer that I can do with the mandates going on. They recently lifted them up. And even with them recently lifted up, it's not like it's, people, employers like, okay, you're not vaccinated, come. Some have opened their doorways up. But to be honest with you, shout to Steven, I'm looking to do other things with my life in terms of finding.
Oh, cool. So you did go for firearms training, or?
Did we lose him again?
Oh, no.
All right.
Okay.
Hey, we're so good.
There you go.
All right. But yeah, so
right.
I've been looking to do like more independent contracting type stuff in my free time and find ways to, do like a small business in a way. I got a media company, Right Side Media. So I'm looking to get more involved with them, and also perhaps looking to get involved with the Frederick Douglass Foundation soon as well, and help them when it comes to, getting people involved.
Okay, there we go again.
No, it's the Democrats. They're messing with me.
They're trying to shut them down.
Yes.
So
go ahead.
So Christy said you went training with Steve Williford in Pennsylvania. Is that what I saw?
Trading, like
training,
like doing like trading, like
guns,
firearms. We lose them again.
It is totally cool. I mean, if we're having problems, we can always we can always have him back. If he's having problems.
Right. I mean, great guest. I'm loving him.
Yeah. So we can always have him back again. So what do you think of the new Echelon by
I didn't read it.
There you back.
Yeah, so when you see that works, I just turn it off my Wi-Fi. I'm just going to do right from my phone to see if that might be an issue. And if it doesn't work out, I mean, like I said, I heard you guys say maybe come back on later, but we either way, we'll see. Yeah, but so you mentioned Steve Williford.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Barefoot Defender.
Oh yes. So I've been talking with him, stuff like that, and looking at. I'm also with the Heller Foundation as well. So just looking to, just Second Amendment rights and, doing stuff like that. I was going doing different events with them. We're doing events where we do like a kind of like a, what do you call it? Like a reenactment of like somebody robbing like a location, and you like, okay, what if somebody was robbing, like you're in a store and is getting robbed, what would you do, kind of thing. So I would go to different events and, do stuff like that. And it was very educational information, I mean, like stuff you don't think about, and but it's very important to know. And a lot of people don't think about it until it's too late, in a situation. So when I was with them, shortly after I was doing that, I had a situation at the Metropolitan Republican Club where I attend, where I got robbed, and the person who robbed the location, I was able to chase them down in the streets of Manhattan and catch them, and get most of the money back. But then when I got most of the money back, I was told by the president at the time that the thief still had more money. So I chased him down again and tackled him right before he got to the train station. The cops came and arrested him, and he ended up had a knife on him and everything like that. And I didn't know at the time. But yeah, so it was he really got a lot of attention here in New York, and but it was good to have that kind of training and education for that kind of situation.
Yeah. There was recently a defensive shooting. There was actually two. One, I wanted to bring both of this up. One of the defensive shootings was at a gas station where this guy was getting robbed. The two guys came up to him, pulled guns on him. The guy was a concealed carry permit holder that happened to have his firearm on, and shot and killed both.
Woo!
So he basically, pow pow.
Wow.
Hey, that's how you do it. That's how you get it done. That's the difference. When I lived all over the East Coast. I lived down in the South, Georgia and Florida. I lived, grew up in Maryland, living in New York now. And you just listen to local news, you hear the difference. When I was down in Georgia and Florida, you hear the local news. It was, somebody breaking in some, elderly woman or man's house late at night and getting met by a shotgun blast. And, compared to, here in New York to, random mental patients still walking on the streets who aren't getting proper care,
or
attacking somebody totally innocent, and them defending themselves and getting the person who defended themselves getting jail time and getting in trouble. It's just backwards, man. And that's why when people say, "Oh, you believe in gun rights and people having firearms," and I'm like, "Of course, yes."
There
definitely.
was a case in Florida where the pool guy came like after dark, and the homeowner went out with his AR and like mag duffed. And I think he got the guy like once. It wasn't, the guy survived. And the sheriff's like, "Yeah, we're not pressing charges."
Yeah, the South, see, that's how it is, man. You see the difference, man. Like when they come to the scene and they find out, well, what happened? And somebody tried to break into my house. Oh, okay, all right. Well, that's all they had to hear. All right, well, they got what they deserved. No questions asked, no big deal. That person is celebrated in the news and by the state. People that hear the news, and and in New York, it's just totally different, man. And it's like the criminal is the one who's given most of the credit here.
Well, the interesting thing in growing up in New York, my father always mentioned it was the Sullivan laws that basically were the start of the anti-gun movement in New York. So corrupt Tammany Hall.
Now tell me about that. I'm not too familiar with that.
You want to talk about it, Rich, or do you want me to explain it?
Well, you can look it up on Wikipedia. So this guy had syphilis, and part of syphilis is paranoia. So he had everybody, he just had strict gun laws put in place. He didn't want anybody else carrying.
Well, he also thought it was also an anti-Italian.
Oh, he hated Italians.
Yeah, he hated Italians. Wow. He thought Italians were trying to come take over New York.
Damn them.
So he passed.
Get that pizza out of here.
Yeah, in 1905, he passed the Sullivan laws to keep Italians from getting guns. Yeah, the guy was
this guy was making policies. This guy, jeez.
Yes,
that's why they got called
no different.
Well, interesting thing is the New York's defense of the CCIA laws, the Concealed Carry and Improvement Act laws. They said that the government has a right to restrict where you can carry, and a couple of the analogs they used. One was a law preventing Catholics from carrying guns, and another one was they said the United States have a history of preventing
racist gun laws,
dangerous people from carrying guns. Here's a law that prevented Catholics from carrying guns. I'm like, what? And then like, here's a law of Native Americans from carrying guns
in New York.
It's like, what are you talking about? And it's like, well, free black men could not carry guns, so here's an law of free black men. And it's like, wow, you have just proven my point that all gun laws are racist in your response to this lawsuit.
It's digging us up a deeper hole, man. You got to love it. I tell people all the time, the left, you got to love the Democrats, man, because they go so far left that they always come in a full circle, man. So it's just, they always come back to where they began, and they usually end up eating their own, because it's like, you guys started, man. You guys started, well, we're anti this, but they go so radical with it that they always end up shooting themselves in the foot. And
yeah, they go so far to one side that the normal Dems, like for example, Zell Miller. I don't know if you guys remember Zell Miller. He was like, he switched. He like, I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me.
That is one of my favorite catchphrases right there. I tell people, when I voted for Trump in 2016, I didn't say to myself, "Oh, I'm a lifelong Republican for the rest of my life. I'm going to be Republican now." I just said, "Okay, this is my first time voting Republican. We're going to see how Trump does. Hopefully, don't do bad, because you're going to make me look very bad, because I went on a limb for this, But I said, if he does bad, I'm like, I'll go vote Democrat in 2020. That's what my mind was. And then the Democratic Party started talking about.
You haven't gone out on Long Island where all those racist Republicans are with American flags, pickup trucks, and Trump flags, have you?
Yeah,
oh my goodness!
A lot of people realize
what to do.
But a lot of people don't realize, once you get outside in Long Island, like the Suffolk County, it's not as liberal as basically New York City.
I mean, the metro areas are the magnets for the lefty.
Yeah, now Rich is freaking up. Man, what are you guys doing? Now Rich always freezes up. He tries to do crap on his router.
Oh boy, yeah. I just turned my Wi-Fi.
I haven't messed with my router.
Yeah, I don't even know what the internet, because my Wi-Fi is like, say, oh, you got 500 megabytes per second, but then it's like my internet phone connection is doing better. So whatever. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, so it's just one of those things where New York City, what people don't really realize that you live here is New York is pretty red. It's just the parts that are blue.
Oh, the state. Like if you look at a county map of the state, yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just the 4 boroughs are blue. It's the Bronx, it's Manhattan, it's Queens, it's Brooklyn. Those 4 areas right there in New York State, the whole entire state, those 4 areas are blue. And they're just 4 boroughs out of 5 boroughs. Staten Island is red, and the rest of New York upstate is red.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so it's just those 4. Yeah. But the thing is, the way New York works is designed where in New York State are all the people in the city areas. So when you go into the boroughs, go to your cities.
Yeah, the population center.
That's where it's like a tuna can. It's like, boom, that's where all the people are crammed in there. So that's where all the votes are going. So you go upstate. I've been upstate for the Zeldin campaign and Canvas Forum upstate, and I'll talk to people going door to door. Even the people upstate on the left aren't the typical Democrats. They are the real moderates. You see the moderates all the time, and they see the radical stuff with the schools going on, with the CRT, with the kids choosing genders. And I talk to Democratic women all the time when I was upstate, saying, I'm not doing this. I'm a Democrat, but I'm not going to vote for this, and I'm going to vote Republican. I vote for Trump in 2024. And so, yeah, you see it. So it's just, it's kind of upsetting, because it makes you really realize, like, you see, like, the main narrative for the Democrat Party is like the socialist, far radical left narrative again pushed more than anything. And if you really look at even in a place like New York City, which is like the darkest of blue, if you look at if you live here and you see the state, it's not really that blue. And it's like, but in the whole entire country for Democrats, the narrative is socialist, radical left. The AOCs of the world are the ones speaking for the party. And like, I kind of feel sorry for I kind of wish moderates had a stronger voice on the left, because that could really help things out in this country.
Well, I always get angry when the Democrats were pushing the narrative that, like, oh, Ron Reagan couldn't get elected because the right is so far right now. I'm like, whoa. JFK couldn't get elected because the Democrats are so far left. Don't pull that crap on me.
Republican.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally.
He had to get Lyndon Johnson to get the Southern Democrat vote, the Dixiecrats, back in the day. So, and then Lyndon Johnson was a racist, and and when he signed the Civil Rights Bill, but it was the Kennedys who fought to get it to where it was at, and the Republicans in Congress.
Well, don't forget what he said when he signed the Civil Rights Bill.
Of course, we're going to have these N-words voting Democrat for the next 300 years. So people better do their research, man. And unfortunately, in a way, so far he hasn't been wrong. And it's not in the terminology, of course, he was wrong. The N word, yes, he was wrong, but just black people, what he was saying, black people voting Democrat, and because they're going to be blinded by this. And and they unfortunately they have been, and the school system has taken it and they twisted it. You know, they don't talk about anything prior to the civil rights in the 1960s. Blacks who in politics was benefiting them. They totally leave that out. They just say 1960s. You know, blacks got civil rights. That's they start.
Oh, wait, when was the Klan bake in New York City? That was that the early 70s?
Yeah, I believe it was the early. What was it? It was the early 70s. I believe that was. You want to take a little research on that one?
I'm Googling it up.
Yes.
Yeah. It's really.
Maybe Google was the wrong thing to use.
Yeah, that's definitely the wrong thing to use. They'll have you searching all day for the truth, you know. Yeah, but you know, yeah, it is. And like I said, and unfortunately, like it took. I'm a history guy. I'm a history buff. I always loved history and growing up and everything like that. And I didn't know the history of the parties until, like I said, Dinesh D'Souza, Hillary's America was one of my favorites of all times.
Dinesh is a good guy.
Man, I got to rewatch that stuff.
Brother, me too, man. I got the most utmost respect for him. It's sad that it took a legal immigrant from another country to educate me on my own country's history. You know, he really did a fantastic job, better than my teachers, obviously. But it just shows you the corruption of the Democratic Party, because, like you said, they do talk about the big switch. But if there was a big switch, then why were there so many racist Democrats in the 60s that were still anti-civil rights? You know, if that big switch occurred in the 30s, you know, and it's just
so. You know. Can you tell me whether you run into more Democrats or like, wait a sec, you're a black Republican, or do you have Republicans going like, a black Republican? Oh my gosh, where do you get the most friction?
Ooh, good question. I think it's like kind of neck and neck between white. Ooh, man, I think the strongest, honestly, it's white liberals, white liberal men, but I say older. I'll say older white liberal men. Like you get those back in the day hippie, and now they're older and still like they're still wearing crazy clothes or whatever. They look like your grandfather's age and stuff. Like those are the ones that can't stand me the most when they see me, because they look at me and they think automatically, oh, you're black, you have to be a Democrat. You just have to be.
Now, when Republicans are like, "Wow, you're a Republican," are they like, "Welcome to the team"?
Yeah,
glad you're here.
Man, I'd say like if the Republicans would have gave me any kind of friction, it would have been so much. It would have been because I was hesitant to even announce that I'm voting for a Republican. And like at first I said Dr. Ben Carson, I got backlash, and then Trump, I was hesitant, and I really got a lot of backlash. So I didn't know what to expect from the Republicans from the right. And when I'm like, okay, well, I'm on the right now, I guess. It kind of forced me that way. So when I went to the right, you know, they saw me. Like I remember I was searching online in New York for Republicans, like anything. And of course, Google and everything they were like, what are you talking about? Republicans in New York? And it took me forever to find like some little venue, a little club of guys that would go to Trump Tower, like 15 deep, and just talk politics. And I had found them and I met them and I talked with them, and then they said, "Oh, you got to come to like an event we have." And I went to an event because they loved me at this little club. We get together. And then when I went to the event, I remember, I forget, at the end they had a Q&A, and they said, "Does anybody have any questions?" And I just said, how's a young black conservative get his voice heard in New York or help bring change? And like everybody in the room gave me a standing ovation. Like it was just like, wow, they were like just amazed by me. I had people come up to me, I was like a celebrity. Like people come up to me like, wow, tell me more about yourself. And and from that day forth, man, just from that day, it just grew from there. And then when I got involved, Walk Away, and my video went viral, and people started really reaching out to me, it was just accepting. And come speak here. Can you come talk to people? And every time I'll go to events, and just utmost respect, man, mutual respect. And I even look at Republicans even prior, because I always been in politics. Even when I was younger, I've been in politics. I was probably 11, 12 years old, and hold on one second. Yep, we get. All right, we're good. You guys still hear me?
Yes.
Yep. Make it so.
All right, good. So I've been in politics since I was 11, 12 years old, and I remember I would debate Republicans, of course, and I always been in debating. And Republicans, I would debate with them, and they would be more. They didn't agree with me politically. they were just happy to see a young person who was into politics. They're like, wow, this is great that you're young and in politics. And that's compared to when I became a Republican and then I get in debates with Democrats, it was just, it's straight personal. Oh, you're a coon, you're Uncle Tom, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, okay. And I dealt with it so much. And people who see me deal with it now, they're like so shocked. And like, especially people that never seen it before, like, oh my, how dare you say that to him? But it's like, I dealt with so much, I'm used to it. It's like, it doesn't even faze me no more. Like those words, they like breathes on my shoulder. It's like, okay, whatever. And it's like, and I just go on and I say, okay, Uncle Tom, and I go always like, Uncle Tom was the hero of the book, you genius. You know what I mean? Come on, like, do your research. Are you going to be insulting? Let's be, that guy was the hero. You know what I mean? Thank you.
Yeah, I don't understand the whole entire, that is something that always have really, really confused me.
Yeah.
With that term.
See, that's what the left.
He was done. Did you even read the book?
That's insane. But that's what's so it shows you how much they know about history. Is like their insult they use was whoever came up with the insult probably didn't read the book. So
yeah, had no idea.
It's like you guys don't know what you're talking about from way back in the day. So like I said, I'll do rallies here in New York where Antifa and Black Lives Matter will show up, and with one time Black Lives Matter showed up and there was like 90% white people in the group. And there was and I was like,
cultural appropriation.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. They're so woke, so diverse, So and I was on the mic and I knew they were gonna come. So when they came, I was right from. I tell people all the time, when it comes to Democrats, how you defeat them the easiest is beat them at their own game. So they always do the whole Black Lives Matter. Okay. They want to say, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, and they expect us to say all lives matter, and because it's common sense, and that's nothing wrong with saying all that. Of course, all lives matter, but what you do is you don't do a talking point to beat them because they're waiting for that talking point because all they have is responses for talking points. So I say, they say Black Lives Matter. I say, okay, Black Lives Matter. I agree, Black Lives Matter. Okay, Black Lives Matter. And I used to have a list they used to carry me. I said, in the past 3 months, there's been about 30 Black people that have been killed at your events, Black Lives Matter. What about those 30 Black people? And I used to name the names, and they were anywhere from security guards to people in Black Lives Matter to people who were conservative Black people. But regardless, they were Black people who were killed at their events. And so I'll say, what about those Black Lives Matter? And these, of course, majority group of white people in this Black group would look at me and be like, yeah. And they had no response. And that's what it is. And I'm like, okay, well, when I'll see there in that frozen shook spot, I would just start embarrassing them. I'd be like, well, tell me how long have you been Black? How is it being Black in America? Can you tell me, tell me the struggles you're dealing with. And they're like, and like they'll block. You got a Karen blocking me with a Black Trans Lives Matter sign, and she's blocking my phone, and I'm taller than she is. I'm lifting my phone up higher than her. And I'm like, Karen, what's wrong? Like, tell me, let's talk. And they just don't know. And then Black people will walk by seeing this, and they're looking at it like, what in the world's going on? A Black guy with a MAGA hat on, schooling Black Lives Matter, but mostly white people. So they just felt they just felt the need that they had to get involved. So they would just go on the Black Lives Matter side as Black people, thinking, let me help this situation, I guess. So they'll speak on behalf of Black Lives Matter, try to defend Black Lives Matter and against me, and then I'll start going to history and start going to history. The history, the party of the KKK, the party of lynching, the party of segregation, the party of Margaret Sanger, and so
people don't realize about Margaret Sanger. That's one of the.
Oh, she's an evil woman,
Evil, basically. She shared a lot of Hitler's beliefs.
I mean, hello, people. I mean, she said that Blacks were growing like weeds and need to be cut down. And, she was one of the original depopulationists, what I mean? Like, now we have the Bill Gates and the Dr. Fauci's of the world out there, pushing it in a more modern way. But she was one of the originators, what I mean? And, and now we have Planned Parenthood. Yeah. And
Planned Parenthood is Margaret Sanger's dream of eliminating the Black people. That's exactly what it is.
Man, there's more. I tell people all the time, there's more babies in New York. There's more Black children being aborted in New York than are being born. And they recently passed a late-term abortion and post-mortem abortion bill in New York City and in Albany. That was I don't know if people remember seeing the scene where they had like a standing ovation here in our Congress, which is Albany State in New York. That's where our Congress is. And they did a standing ovation, and then the next day they lit the Freedom Tower where the Twin Towers used to be. They lit the Freedom Towers pink in celebration. And I tell people all the time, if Margaret Sanger was alive, man, she would be the biggest smile on her face right now seeing this.
Wait, all right. So I want to make sure we're clear on this. The late term abortion bill, if there was a late term abortion bill in Florida, it would be like no late term abortions. You're saying in New York State, they're permitting late term abortions and celebrating it.
Yes, it was about 2 years ago. They passed the bill for not only late term, but post mortem abortion as well. So even after the baby is born, they can still kill the baby.
Crap.
Up to I forgot, I can't remember. It's like a week or hour or 48 hours or something crazy. It's just crazy.
What's up,
And when they go that and if it gets to that point, only the woman has the choice of what happens at that point. So if there's a situation where a woman gives birth to a baby and she wants to still kill the baby, but the husband or the boyfriend or whatever still wants it. That doesn't matter. The woman only has the voice on the matter. The man has no voice. So if the man wants the baby still, it doesn't matter. They'll still kill the baby after.
Oh my gosh.
And I forgot how somebody told me, I looked into the details of it one time. Just, it was so sickening, the stuff I was hearing. I forgot how they do it like that. They I know it's like something like they leave a baby maybe starving or something like that, like after it was born, and just let it lay, and it's some disturbing, disgusting act they do. And it's crazy, man.
This is demon worship. I mean, this is worshiping all. This is it.
Yeah. Well, somebody asked me, you're like, do you know what the leading cause of childhood death is? And I'm like, abortion. I got all of.
Yep, that'll shut up a lot of Democrats instantly right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And it's like, and the problem, like you said, it's satanic. And what I'm noticing with a lot of Democrats, I debated a lot of them, trust me, in New York City. I've been going to rallies and all kinds of stuff. I can write a book on how to school leftists. And what I've noticed the most with them, just growing up in a Christian church, and my dad was a pastor and everything like that, is a lot of them are atheists. And it seemed like decades of the atheism and them taking God out of so much, from schools to movies to everywhere you look, they took God out of a lot of stuff. Now we're seeing the fruition of that. Now we're seeing the results. Yes. And we have these people who are just demonic, man. They have no souls. I debate leftists, and they talk about babies and minorities who are conservatives, and they're in a very evil way. And all their memes, like I say, the left can't meme. It's like their memes are just either very disgusting sexual type stuff, and it's not funny. It's just like disturbing.
Yeah.
And it's like, we got memes that make because we still are, we're not social justice warriors. We don't do cancel culture. We still have good comedy. We can still be funny, and people can still laugh at what we're saying. So we know how to meme and how to do it properly. They can't do it because they've canceled so much where you can't even breathe without insulting somebody. So they can't do comedy. So when they try to, it's just disturbing and weird. So it's just like, and I noticed that about the left and a lot, because like they're into atheism, and they took a guy out of so much that they seem like they're the soulless people, and they talk in a very dark, disturbing way. But yet they're so inclusive and everything like that. And it's like, now that I've been on the right, like I said, and I've dealt with people on the left, it's so much different when I was people on the left dealing with people on the right. Now I'm on the right because, like I said, when I would debate with them, they just were happy that I was into politics. Now I'm on the right, they're welcoming full arms. See what I'm doing with the YouTube channel? They really love what I'm doing. Hey, well, really, Chris, man, you're the man. And then I look at the Democrats, it's just like they're straight insulting. It's just disrespect. And they say, oh, you're a coon, you're bound down to the white man. It's like, everything I'm doing on the right, I chose to do on my own. There's no white person over me saying do this. I've chose this is the most independent thinking you can do that I'm doing. This is all independent thought. And they're welcoming me on the right for being independent thought. And you guys are the ones that disrespecting me. You guys are the ones insulting me. You guys are the ones who think that I'm just lesser than. Like, and you get that from people, especially in New York City. I think people all the time. You want to see racism in 2023? Be a minority and wear a MAGA hat and walk through Manhattan. You will see racism right in your face. There you go. And when it happens, I don't want to hear nothing about, in the South, in Arkansas, in the mountains, the white people get you. I'm like, you don't got to go to Arkansas. Go to Manhattan with a MAGA hat on. You'll see racism right there, man. And the biggest racism right there, the people that claim to be the most diverse, they're the biggest racists.
I will say, in defense of people who have who don't like MAGA hats or think that it's some type of danger, in Chicago, there was two guys wearing a mega hat that did attack a black actor.
Black man go to get a sandwich at 3 a.m.
Yeah, that was going to get a sandwich when it was under 0 degrees at a Subway at 3 a.m.
And they poured bleach on him and put a noose around his neck.
Yeah, and they happened to be from Nigeria and hired by him. But
Jeez. What a winkadink, you know what I mean? Was Justice Smollett involved? Buddy and Chance?
Yeah, I think that was
it's
the
MAGA country.
It's MAGA country.
MAGA country. Dave Chappelle had the best. I don't know. Do you watch Dave Chappelle at all?
Oh, I love Chappelle.
I think everybody sees that.
I was like, that's not what two white people would say. That's what I would say. Hilarious. Like that sounded like something I would say.
And and you can't get it by that era, man. That Chappelle era, that was America. That's because I grew up in the 90s, man. When I was a kid, when I was a child in teenage years, in my 20s was like Chappelle and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And so by the time when Chappelle came around, I was watching Chappelle with my white friends, Hispanic friends, Asian friends, gay friends, straight friends. Hilarious. It didn't matter, man. And we were all on the floor cracking up.
Yeah.
Because we knew that he would, whoever he's making fun of, whatever culture, race, sexuality, whatever, he would hit it. He was hitting it so on that you had to laugh. And that's true comedy. Oh, yeah. Like all good comedy has a little bit of truth to it.
Yeah. He attacked everyone in the left are like, oh, you can't like him because he's not nice to us. He's like, dude, he goes after the right, he goes after the left, he goes after everyone.
Yes, and I loved it when I saw cancel culture go after Chappelle, because I was like, oh, let me see this. Let me see you try to cancel Chappelle.
And didn't work.
Good luck. Everybody loves Chappelle, man. People, I know Democrats to this day, you guys might be hiding in a corner somewhere, but you're not going to come out and say you don't like Chappelle. Everybody was watching Chappelle, and I
crack on it.
Stop. Come on, man. Black white supremacist. And that scene, of course, and that's the first episode. In that scene where he was down the South, and all those redneck white people came up to him. He was by the truck, and he was blind, and they were like, what you doing here, N-word? And they said it, and he was like, N-word? Where is it? Get the news. We're hanging in N-word tonight, And he was like, and it was just, oh man, it was just like the barriers at that time. The walls were broken down at that time, man, where you could have a joke. And because I remember Eddie Murphy did something similar for SNL in the 80s. And I remember being a kid watching that thing, and that was so hilarious. And to me, Chappelle took that into the next level of just painting himself as a white guy. And, he was blind portraying a white guy.
Yeah, he was the blind KKK guy.
Yes, yeah. And it was just brilliant, man. And that's how, I thought back then that comedy was going to go further from there. Like it was going to go more and more just controversial, and still people enjoyed and have fun. I didn't think we were going to go backwards. Yeah. And a big part of that was Obama was a big part of that. He came in, he was president around that time frame. And like I said, he could shortly after that, he became president, and he could have just easily just governed, man. All he had to do was govern. He didn't have to even bring race into it. America was at that point where, you had a few idiots here and, sprinkle it. And that, of course, wasn't fans of a black president, but it was so minuscule that it wasn't no threat to anybody. All he could have done was just govern like any other president, and him being a black man doing a good job would have solidified enough in American history. His name would have been a legacy just from that alone.
Absolutely.
But instead he took his race and he flipped it, and he divided his country further. And a lot of, like I said, I remember he when he invited Black Lives Matter to the White House. I knew what Black Lives Matter was until he invited him to the White House. And before I even knew the details of Black Lives Matter and knew they were ran by, a crazy lesbian communist freaking psycho, whatever. Before I even knew that, I just saw Black Lives Matter. I didn't like it. I'm like, why are we even bringing up, identity politics at all? Like it shouldn't. It's, I'm not a believer in, a black conservative, black, at the very beginning, at first, I said, I say everybody's favorite black conservative in New York when I do my videos, and an older white woman said, why just be everybody's favorite conservative? And I totally agreed. Like, why limit yourself?
Sure.
It's like, and that's why I'm not a fan of identity politics at all. It's like, if you're playing victim, to me, my father an Army Major veteran, highest ranked officer on a military base when I was growing up. You know, got to see the world at a young age. Lived in Germany for 5 years, saw the Berlin Wall fall. You know, I never grew up thinking, you know, I'm not capable. You know, my dad hated the words "I can't." Like that was, you know, don't put that in your vocabulary. You know,
Right.
And so I grew up just thinking that. So you know, when I heard I have a dream speech and it was about not the color of your skin, but the content of character, I respected that speech so much because he felt like he was talking to me because I was already living that life at that time. So I was already like you know, he didn't have to tell me. Like at that time, he was telling people, you got to do this. When I heard it at a young age, when I first heard that speech, I was like, wow, I'm already living this. Like, so I saw what America was able to accomplish by the time I came around. Like, that was I have a dream. So when I was already around, the dream was occurred. I was living the dream. So
they would call that a hate speech.
Crazy, man. And that's where we're at, man. It's patriotism is hate speech now. Like I grew up loving. I still love America, of course, but I remember my dad coming home with the Army fatigues on when he was still a captain, having the captain helmet with the symbol, and thought he was watching G.I. Joe before he came home. America was the coolest thing in the world, man. You can't tell me nothing negative about America. You know, like, you know, and now they're telling me, especially as a black man, no, you're supposed to hate this country. The white man's got you controlled. See, that's what it is. I'm like, man, what are you fools talking about, man? Like, I had white friends, black friends, but I never looked at my white peers growing up like they were better than me, like they were privileged over me. I looked at my white friends like they were my peers, man. Like it's like you were my equals. Like you're just like any like Hispanics are my equals, or you know. And big part of that is my Christian upbringing as well. We're all equal at the foot of the cross. Doesn't matter your race. Doesn't matter if you're gay, you're straight. If you look at Christ, the King of Kings, he preached to the lepers more than he preached to the kings and the queens at the time. So it's like I don't, you know, and that's who I reflect myself off of. You know, I don't look at the whole nonsense of people saying, "Oh, you're bound down to somebody." I mean, when I talk to black people on the left, I'm like, if you want to take it there and be technical, and I hate using that word "coon knuckle time" because I feel like that's just a scapegoat. Like you don't really have information or substance, so you just got to use like your personal shots to end the conversation. It's like, but if you want to be technical, you guys are coons. You guys are Uncle Toms. Man, you're bound down to the white man. And, you know, like I remember when they had a Summer of Love in New York, the Summer of Love, and they were burning down buildings and rioting and looting for 3 months straight before January 6th. And I saw so many videos and I saw it firsthand, even physically saw it, of white Antifa members pointing at black people and Black Lives Matter and telling them to go riot and loot. And I'm like, you know, what's the difference between that and the plantation owner back in the day telling the slave to go pick cotton? It's like, you guys are. That's what I saw. Like you might have saw it like you're doing some revolution or something like that. I mean, I saw you just being a coon, and it's what I saw. But you're so quick to say that to me, but I'll never say that to you because I want to actually help you and show you the truth and educate you on history. So I won't go personal and just end the conversation because I actually got something to say to you. You don't have nothing to say to me. There's no substance behind you. You just watch the CNN or you go to school and your your teacher told you about, you know, your Karl Marx way of thinking. And now you're just protruding that out to me and saying, oh, you're just, you know, I was told by a white person that you're a coon, so I'm calling you a coon. And we're both black people in America. We're supposed to be on the same team, right? My brother, you know what I'm saying? So if you're really about that life, why do you turn off my brother, my sister, when I say I'm conservative along with that? So I've seen that. I see white people get racist. I've seen black people turn their backs on their own just because they're conservative. And it's like, and I said, I didn't even, like I said, I had an idea about it, but I didn't know full force until I became a conservative and Republican myself. Once I became it, I saw it firsthand, and not just from my enemies. I mean, friends and family, you know, and white and black. You know, it didn't matter. Hispanics, you know, it doesn't matter.
I was going to ask about your family and how they are.
We are out of time, though.
We'll have to have you back, man.
Yes.
We have a premiere going on John Crump News in about 1 minute, less than 1 minute, 20 seconds. Everyone in this chat will be redirected over there automatically if you want. So just stay tuned. Chris, tell everyone where they can find you.
All right. If you just look up Christopher Wright Show, just type that in DuckDuckGo. Recommend. Even if you Google it, that should pop up. But just the Christopher Wright Show on YouTube, Facebook. Wright is Right on Facebook. Instagram, Christopher Wright Show. It's Christopher_Wright_show. So on Instagram. So just Christopher Wright Show. You should be able to find me if you look hard enough with those words.
All right. Thank you so much. You can follow Flying Rich at Flying Rich Firearms, Flying Rich_official on Instagram, and Flying Rich everywhere else. And we will be back tomorrow. No, we won't be back tomorrow, will we? We'll be back on Monday, and we're going to have a lot of fun there. I have no idea who the guest is going to be. Rich does all that stuff. Thank you, Rich. So John Crump News, everyone's going to be pushed over there. The Christopher Wright Show has been linked in the chat. So if you want to check out Chris, go ahead and check him out. And with that, we are out of here. Thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow or Monday.